Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of FloGrappling's A Fistful of Collars, your favorite jiu-jitsu podcast. And look what we have in the house today. Whoa, none other than Craig Jones. Woo, give it up, Craig.
What up, Craig?
It's our first guest. We've never had a guest before.
Kind of. You know, we had Travis Stevens last week, but on our podcast.
On our podcast,
yes.
Indeed. So once again, joined as always by myself, Howell Teague, Reed Connell, Chase Smith, and some guy called Craig Jones in the house today. Man, we're really lucky to have you here today. What's going on?
Thanks, man. I'm super excited to be here. Just in Austin for a seminar, really. Just enjoying the weather right now.
Been doing a lot of that lately, traveling, right? Giving seminars and stuff.
Since ADCC, I've just been on the road non-stop.
Dang.
I think I've been back in Melbourne for 6 weeks. So it's just been crazy.
That's quite a long time. ADCC was back in September. How's that going? You feeling good? Or are you just embracing the grind?
I feel good. I mean, it's like you get sick of the travel. I mean, I'm talking to you guys. You guys know what I mean. The travel's horrible.
I don't know, man. Sounds like you've been putting in those 8 miles.
Right? The transit's horrible. Airplanes bring out the worst in people, I think. But like, obviously, it's a good thing to complain about. Beats a regular job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, your jiu-jitsu handle used to be Jiu-Jitsu Travels.
Jiu-Jitsu Travels,
right?
yeah.
Before you changed it to Craig Jones BJJ, that's at Craig Jones BJJ, right? But no, Jiu-Jitsu Travels. So it seems that the traveling thing's pretty big for you there, right?
Yeah, like I predicted the future there, right? You know who told me? Andre Gaval, after ADCC, messaged me. He's like, Craig, change your Instagram handle. He's like, no one can find you.
Oh,
to Craig Jones?
Yeah, I was like, all right, I better do it. I think Keenan hit me up as well. Keenan's like, you really got to change that.
Gotcha.
So as soon as I changed it, someone else picked up the old one straight away.
Yeah. No way.
Interesting.
Wow, that's like when Jeff Glover got his jacked as well. He did the thing that he was messing around and he changed his Instagram handle for like a day and somebody had it like straight away. He
his was back. Good too, right?
It was Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah, Jiu-Jitsu. That's a funny one.
And now he's Jutang.
Jutang. He lost it. I wonder who took it.
Yeah, some guy, right?
Some dude. So what else is new? You got a lot of seminars and stuff, been traveling around.
Yeah.
A bunch of competitions coming up too, huh?
A bunch. Obviously, we got Kasai, Reed repping the t-shirt there.
Right there.
Excited for that one.
Out April 14th, live on FloGrappling.com.
Don't miss it.
That one's going to be awesome, a stacked middleweight division. And over the last couple of weeks, they've been announcing some crazy super fights as well. Obviously, they got the Gio and Nicky Ryan match.
What do you think about that one?
That's awesome, hey. I mean, it's been talked about for so long, so I was super excited that they finally did it. I'm wondering how much they're paying them. Maybe I need to ask for more money.
Yeah, there you go. If you had to give an edge, now no one likes to make predictions.
Yeah, go. Oh, yeah.
Putting you on the hot seat here.
Have you rolled around with Nicky before?
I've rolled with Nicky. I haven't rolled with Gio. You're putting me in between here, the DDS guys and the 10th planet guys.
You got to pick a side.
We're going hard early on the podcast. So.
I don't know. I would say, like, experience, you probably got to give it to Gio. But, I mean, it's hard. Like, the underdog, like, obviously, that's a good place to be, I think.
Is Nicky as good as people say?
Yeah, for sure.
It really is.
I'll be Masters before he's adult, so I'm super excited about that.
Right. Means you don't have to cross paths. That could be a bad day. Man, imagine what that kid's going to be like when he hits 19, 20 years of age.
I wonder how big he'll be. That's concerning as well.
That's true, because Gordon's, as we know, pretty huge.
Gordon's huge.
That's what's such a fun thing about that match. Is there's just so much mystery around it. It's like, man, what is going to happen when Gio and Nicky finally do step on the mat?
Well, the rules make it interesting, because I think Gio sort of games the system with the EBI. He sort of forces the overtime, aiming to win in overtime. But given the Kasai thing is submission only and ref's decision.
Yeah,
so
20 minutes, submission only, no points, nothing overtime, nothing. Yeah.
So there's nothing to force, like he can't force an overtime. So if he has to engage more, it probably bodes better for Nicky Ryan. Better for the
we've seen like a lot of those submission only matches, like fight to win, they use just a straight round and then judge's decision at the end based on like the amount of submission attacks and stuff. So Nicky just has to go all out in those 20 minutes and just keep chasing after Gio, right?
Exactly, and Gio will have to engage because, like as you saw at the last side, they're quick with those penalties.
yeah, indeed.
You might know a thing or two about that.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of Kasai here, you're in the 8-man, right? Is there one guy in there that you're super looking forward to fighting? You got like Mike Perez, DJ Jackson, Richie Martinez is in there, the other Martinez brother. Yeah. Dante Leone, any of these guys that you're looking forward to?
Well, Dante would be a good rematch because me and him are 1-1.
Is that right? When did you compete? That must have been a while ago.
A long time. Back when I used to wear the gi. That was
ages ago.
What was it? It was Abu Dhabi World Pro. I'm going to say 2015 or 2016. I won the first. Yeah, 2015 I won, and 2016 he won.
So the rubber match is on.
The rubber match, yeah. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, I mean, DJ Jackson, that's an exciting name, but a horrible style for me, but it'll be fun either way. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a crazy tournament. Mateus is interesting because he doesn't do too many of these style events, does he?
No, I haven't. Apart from my BJJF stuff, I don't think I've
We
seen
saw him at FloGrappling.
Oh, that's true.
A year and a half ago now, basically.
That was a Super 5?
Super 5 Keenan in the gi. So, and that was more or less IBJJF rules. So, but this is definitely a change of pace for him.
Yes, that'll be interesting, seeing him with the heel hooks and stuff. Hopefully he's not been working them.
Yeah, right. And DJ, man, I mean, what do you do to a guy like DJ?
I don't know, get him drunk the night before.
Because he's just
well, you're going to be coming in on a plane, so you might not have time.
That's true.
Yeah, you were telling us this. You're going to be in Japan, like, not just in Japan, but competing in Japan, like 3 days out from Kasai.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I feel like I'm in a constant state of jet lag. So everyone's like, how are you going to cope with the jet lag? And I'm like, I haven't not been jet lagged for some time now. So I feel like it's just the baseline.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, Kasai's going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You're going to be there, right?
Yeah, I'll be there. We'll be there. So we'll be hanging out, man. We'll be doing some cool stuff. But this week was a fun one, huh? This week was 20 years of ADCC. You know, it's a kind of apropos that we have the breakout star of 2017 ADCC.
Very convenient.
Right here with us.
Almost like it was planned.
I mean, that was no shit. That was a life-changing moment for you, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure. It made seminars, everything easier after that.
We got we can just play a little clip here while Craig Jones is talking about it. This is from your performance here at ADCC 2017. Of course, yeah, you had a huge performance there. I mean,
I like this one. It only shows the wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the match that really changed my life, I think.
Man, did his knee pop? Did you hear it?
It sounded like someone tore a sheet of cardboard or something.
Oh, wow.
Insane. Hey, and you know what's insane? Like, when I tore his knee, I was like, surely that's it. But he was walking around on it. The best story about the whole thing is straight after the event. Like, I saw him for the rest of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, limping like he's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Sunday night, see him with a beer in his hand.
Dancing,
the limp's gone. It looks like he never even got injured. So that's the secret, I think. I got to drink some more alcohol.
And look at that flying triangle, man. I mean, like, what was going through your mind when you just threw that up there?
I didn't even know. I was sort of like, I didn't know what Murillo was going to do, but he was setting up a sweep, and I was like, well, we were in the no points period. I can throw something crazy up. So it panned out for me that time, which was pretty cool. Later on at ADCC, I tried the same flying triangle on Shanji. Lightning doesn't strike twice.
He's a little ready for it.
And then we got Chael Sonnen.
You and Chael are cool.
Yeah, he's honestly, like, for all the shit he talks online, he's one of the coolest guys I think I've ever met. He just turns up the personality.
Man, I saw him recently. I don't want to misquote him, but I saw him on his podcast where we were talking about the Craig Jones match.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know. I put Craig Jones back flat on the mat, had him dominated on the mat, and they raised his arm at the end. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I heard that his coach was like, "What happened, man?" He goes, "So how did he win?"
He was like, "I
don't know. I took him down."
Yeah, I still have no idea how he won.
Like continuing with the whole traveling thing, like what was it like a week or two later you were in Oregon to compete on Chael's event?
Oh yeah, which I agreed to do Submission Underground before ADCC. So sadly I didn't get the pay rise in between.
Yeah.
I was hoping for.
You didn't manage to cash in on that ADCC
Yeah, I was going to be
thing.
like, I'm only going to do it if you put it. Nah. But yeah, that was cool because I mean Chael was super cool at Submission Underground still.
Yeah.
Like he takes it. He didn't talk shit about me, but like you see in his MMA fights, he talks shit, but I think he's friendly behind the scenes. I think everyone's the same. Gordon Ryan, the biggest secret with him, he's actually a super nice guy. Like he puts out an image, but honestly, he's a sweetheart.
You're breaking, you're pulling back the curtain. This is against what he's trying to tell everyone.
A really nasty Instagram post about you.
Right.
Gonna
have to go back completely the other way. It's like, no, I'm not a nice guy, but I'm a dick.
This is my version of shit talking to get the rubber match. I'm like, he's a super nice guy.
So, but I mean, even like us, we cover jiu-jitsu pretty closely, obviously, right? And we're beating the mats every day. And even going into ADCC, I honestly didn't know a lot about Craig Jones, but of course, obviously, after ADCC, I was like, I need to know everything about Craig Jones. So just like, how did your life change from then on?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I'll say I qualified in Kazakhstan, so there's not much press going on in Kazakhstan for the trials. But yeah, my life changed in terms of, obviously, my Instagram blew up, seminar requests blew up. Just everything became easier, you know what I mean? Like, I was dependent financially upon teaching in Melbourne. And that, like, being Melbourne's an expensive city and teaching doesn't pay the bills very well. It was quite a tough time. So, like, yeah, after ADCC, just opened up. Suddenly my team was like, oh, you can travel, you can go wherever you want now. You know what I mean? So a lot freeing, really. And then again, the super fight offers. Everything I was begging to be on before, suddenly the offers came in. And the craziest experience was after that first day at ADCC, so I beat Low and Santana, I woke up with an inbox full of sponsorship offers.
Crazy.
I was like, oh, that's convenient.
Very nice. And the ADCC thing as well, 20 years of ADCC, it's kind of, man, it's crazy how much has happened in the grappling world in that time, right? I mean, I look back at the old ADCCs and it looks nothing like the ADCCs that we watch nowadays as well. Are you like were you one of those guys at ADCC who was always like the big goal? You always wanted to work your way into that show?
That was the one I always wanted. Even when I was focused on the gi, I used to only train no gi once a week until maybe brown belt. Like I was always focused on ADCC. I don't know, that one always seemed like the biggest spectacle to me. And it always seemed like the one that could really change your life.
But it wasn't your first time there though, right?
No, we won't talk about that.
Well, no, because I mean, people might they might not realize, but you had a one go at ADCC already back in 2015. Didn't go great, but you got there, which, tell us about that.
Well, that was an interesting one because like for the trials, I was training at Atos. I'd just been partying in Vegas and I woke up and I saw the trials were announced for South Korea. So I was in the States at the time and I did 2 weeks at Atos. So I just trained in the gi for it. And I spent all my money coming to the States. So I got my parents back home to sell my car and send me the money so I could go. I flew from California back to Adelaide where I was living at the time, and then I flew to South Korea for the trials. And luckily that was a big gamble, but I secured the trials ticket. And I remember at the time I weighed 80 kilos. I don't know what the pound conversion is, 180 pounds. Yeah. And then I chose to do under 88 kilos because Lachlan Giles was in 77, and I was like, I'm not going to beat that guy. Which is like, I did the same thing for the most recent trials. I didn't train with him, but I knew how good he was.
Right, okay. So because now you're on a part of the same crew, but you didn't even train together back then.
No, I had never even trained with him. I just knew of him as a high-level guy. But what was cool is he won the 77 trials ticket and then coached me for the 88. And I think I fought a guy from Kyrgyzstan who was pretty tough. So I won the ticket. I started training to prepare to go to Brazil. I was still in Adelaide, still working I was still working, not a full-time job. Luckily, I've never worked a full-time job. I won't make it sound too tough for me. So I was working a part-time job. I think I was still at uni. And then I went to Lachlan Giles for like a 2-week camp, went to Brazil. And luckily, I drew Rafael Lovato first round, who was at the time was the previous champ. And I remember seeing him and I was like, I'm in the wrong weight division for sure. He was like telling me he was cutting
pretty
down.
big at that event.
Huge. So it was like we're a low seed country. I don't know the way they work. The trials were sort of a low seed, so they give us the favorite usually. Yeah. So I was like, went out there, got Kamurid by Homolo. I won't forgive him as well. He ripped it. He hurt my shoulder for quite a while. Oh, shit. But yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, like, I think you need as many. Not everyone can enter the high-level tournaments and beat the high-level guys straight away. Like, it's a mental obstacle you need to get past. You gotta usually that match. I was like, oh my God, Homolo Bahal. Not that I think it would have changed if I came in confident. Change the result, but yeah, that was a good mental obstacle. Keep facing those high-level guys until you realize everyone's just human, and you actually do have a shot at beating those guys.
And then the next 2 years later, they give you Leandro first round.
Yeah,
Were you pumped about that match when you saw it? Or?
I was excited, but I was excited, and then I saw the odds. I think I was 50-1 underdog, so I should have bet on myself there, really. But yeah, excited for Leandro Lowe at the time because it was me and Kit. We sort of represent the same team, even though he's never in the country. I'm never in the country anymore. And then it was Keenan and who else was in my division from Atos? It was Kanan Duarte. Mm-hmm. So we were preparing because I was either preparing mentally to face Kit because usually they do teammates first round, but then they were throwing the idea around that it was because there's 2 Atos, 2 Australians, they put us all in the corner. So in my head I was like, I'll probably have Keenan and Kit will have Kanan. And then last minute they put me as Leandro, which I was excited for. Obviously, he's one of the greatest of all time. So I was like getting mentally prepared for that. My thought process was like, I have to come with confidence because he is a gi guy. And I'm like, I do believe like if you're a specialist in one should beat a specialist in the other. You know what I mean?
I'd only seen Leandro in like 2 no-gi matches ever before that ADCC. I remember, obviously he had the super fight with Gordon Ryan. It was meant to be Braulio, right? But he had a super fight with Gordon like 6 months before the trials event in California. And I think the last time that I'd seen Leandro do no-gi before that was
Calisans, right?
2013. Copa Podio against Calisans. It was the middleweight Grand Prix with Kit Dale, Travis Stevens, and all that. Crazy event. But I mean,
really good event. Yeah.
Like almost 4 years. 4 years of no gi, and then Leandro thinks he can walk into ADCC.
Oh,
Craig Jones got planned about that.
I do remember when Mo and the guys they posted the brackets, and obviously we all ran up and we're looking. Oh, this guy's fighting this guy. This guy's fighting this guy. And Leandro walked up right next to me, and he looked at me and he goes, Who? Do you know who this guy is? Do you know who this guy is? And I was like, yeah, he's from Australia. And they're like, and he was like, what does he do? What does he do? You know? So like, Leandro didn't know.
He was probably like Australia.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. He's like, perfect.
Guy. Yeah. But no, that probably works in worked, I should say, in your favor. But man, like, you can't pull that ever again, right? Everybody knows who you are now.
I won't get as bigger upset.
Yeah. But that's got to be cool though, right? I mean, like that whole ADCC thing kind of put your name on the map. But
oh, for sure, yeah.
I mean, that's what ADCC does, right? You get a couple of big wins ADCC.
Well, that's why it's so special, because say like, I would never ever have the opportunity to face a guy like Leandro Lo in a super fight, and that's why ADCC does. It just crosses that boundary for people. So if you win your trials, that's your ticket to fight a big name. You know what I mean? That's what I think makes it so special. Because those guys at the highest level, they have to only fight guys at the highest level, other famous guys, you know what I mean? Because it's not worth it to them to take the risk, to take a gamble on a no-name guy. But at ADCC, you have to. And then it shuffles everything up a bit. Like Gordon Ryan, to be honest, I didn't expect him to win ADCC. In my mind, I was like, it's going to be a wrestler. It's going to be a strategic wrestler, you know what I mean? I think the rules favor that. So that surprised me as well. So like, that threw Gordon from being one of the best submission-only grapplers to one of the best no-gi grapplers of all time, really. Surprised the hell out of me.
And go on, while we're here, we've got to get the story about the ADCC Absolute as well.
Oh, the Absolute.
Yeah, Absolute. So you had a bit of a roller coaster up until that point, right? So it was 2 wins.
2 wins, 2 losses in the division.
Right, and then...
I lost to Keen, I lost to Shanji, and straight after I lost to Shanji, I went back to the hotel, got showered and stuff. I was getting ready to have some beers and enjoy the night. And so I came back to the venue. Like I left my training gear. I think I even lost my mouth guard. And then I was at the bar to get a beer with my coach Lachlan, and an older guy is next to me with this like thick Jersey accent. Just starts talking to me out of the blue, and it's Gordon Ryan's dad. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Gordon." They got the same name, which confused me as well. That's the real Gordon Ryan there. And he was. I didn't even think he knew I competed. And he just started talking to me, started saying some funny stuff, started pursuing some of the women in the audience. Real entertaining. So I'm drinking beers with Gordon Ryan's dad. I won't give anything away, but if you meet him, you know what I mean, right?
He's a pretty wild guy.
He's a wild man. He's talking about his street fights and stuff. Super entertaining.
He came up to me at one point, and I had no idea who he was either. It was like just some random guy comes up to me, because he didn't look anything like Gordon, right? And he comes up to me and he starts like saying, "Oh, you guys," he knew we're from FloGrappling. And he's like, "Man, I love you guys. Thanks a lot for everything you do." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, thanks." And then Gordon comes over to me later, and he's like, "That's my dad. He's fucking crazy."
Don't listen to anything he says.
But anyway, back to the Absolute.
I'll say to you guys, ask Gordon Ryan's dad about Oliver Taza.
Okay.
Save that one.
Ask him. You guys are going to laugh
that in the back pocket.
Yeah. But I'm drinking a beer, and one of the ADCC officials comes up to me. He's like, "Are you doing Absolute? You doing Absolute?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm done." I'm like, "Clearly I'm done. I'm drinking a beer." And then I'm walking back to the crowd to watch more of the matches, and Mo came up to me and he's like, "Are you going to do Absolute?" He's like, what would it cost me? How much do I have to pay you to put you in Absolute? And I was like, "You don't have to pay me." And he's just like, "What if I give you Chael Sonnen?"
Yeah, that was another missed opportunity.
I know. And then he's like, "What if I give you Chael Sonnen?" And I was like, "I can't say no to that. I have to do it." Because I was like, I mean, another guy, like, that's the beauty of ADCC. When are you going to get an opportunity to face Chael Sonnen?
And he wasn't, well, it was a surprise he was even in that bracket.
I didn't even know he was
also
eligible.
crazy.
Yeah. When they drew the Absolute brackets, all the Brazilians ran over and they were like, I had them in my hand, or I had some in my hand, and some guy had another one, and they're all around me, Shanji, Cyborg, and everybody, and they were like, "Who's Chael? Who's Chael?" Right? And I'm like, no, that's Chael Sonnen. And they were all like, "What? Like, what is he doing in there? Like, he can't do that. He had a super fight. He can't be in the Absolute." But I'm like, hey, screw it. He's there to compete, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's ADCC.
They do whatever they want.
And respect to the man for jumping in, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean,
He's Finland.
he's offended quite a few Brazilians in his time. You know what I mean? He's putting his body on the line there.
Why were they complaining? That's what they always wanted. Right?
That's a gift. Yeah, of all things, I'd be like, "Why is Buchecha in there? Get him out of there."
Can you talk a little bit about your transition from, you said you competed mostly in the gi. I want to know when you made a decision to go no gi and like why that happened and all that.
Man, I just would somehow compete better in no gi. I'd get the better results. So it was like, I mean, I qualified for ADCC. That pushed me in that direction. And then I won Nogi Worlds as a purple belt. And then just every next opportunity seemed to be Nogi. So it was like, after Nogi Worlds, there was ADCC trials. Then I did EBI, then I did ADCC Worlds. And then since ADCC Worlds, people don't even ask me to put on the gi anymore.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. The last time I remember seeing you in a major gi tournament was, I think it was Abu Dhabi World Pro 2016.
That was the last major, yeah.
And so have you competed in the gi since?
I did a small tournament in Australia because they called me up. They're like, we're giving out belts and cash. I was like, you know what? I'll put the gi on. So I did one in the black belt.
And what about training? Do you train in the gi much?
I put it on every now and then.
Okay.
But like, I think I just focus on no-gi. So in my mind, a lot of people will say, oh, you do the gi to get better at no-gi, they'll help you get better at both. I think that's true to a certain extent, but like if I'm going to compete no-gi, I think wrestling's better for my time than putting the gi back on. Like I'll chuck the gi on for fun, I still love it.
Well, we got a bunch of reader questions come in. Well, we're going to work through those a little bit later, but I mean, this one kind of fits in perfectly. Ricardo Amendolia, our friend Ricardo, he asked, I mean, are you going to compete in the gi again?
I don't know. It's been a while now. I mean, I'm open to the possibility. Maybe we'll do the Leandro Lowe rematch in the gi.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, all right. No messing. I like it. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
That'd be unpleasant, but it'd be good.
That'd be awesome. I was just going to say, a lot's been said too about how you've sort of created your own system that sort of is on the same trajectory as the Death Squad a little bit. Where did that come from? Were you studying tape from them? Were you incorporating it on your own?
I mean, some guys will say it's the same. You know what I mean? It's the same system. But yeah, I just really just watched a ton of footage. You know what I mean? And trial and error. Me and Charles were trying to figure stuff out. I started heel hooks out of a fear because I qualified for ADCC after training in the gi. And I remember, I'll give him a shout out. He's in the Kasai tournament. I rolled with Mike Perez at Atos in 2015 when I first, was it 2015? No, 2014 when I first qualified for ADCC. And he just heel hooked the hell out of me that time. So I remember after I qualified, I was like, well, that's something I definitely need to work on. And then as I started to work on it, I realized how much a lot of high-level guys neglected that area of the game. So I was like, if it's a ticket to beating guys that are already better than you in other areas, then that's something I want to focus on. I always liken it to like all throughout jiu-jitsu, like Rafa Mendes with the birimbolo. It's like it is a technique that is a ticket to beat people that are arguably better than you in other areas. You know what I mean? And anytime there's a technique like that, people will have a problem with it. So the birimbolo, you got the old school guys, look at this spinning shit, we don't like this. But the reality is, it's just, he brought something, he innovated the game, he brought it in, he dominated everyone with it. There was a lot of hate, and then it becomes part of the game.
Yeah, everybody's doing it.
Exactly.
Like blue belts are going out and wrecking people with it. But, I mean, if you don't know it, then you're going to get screwed, right? Because everybody does it like a fundamental part of the game. But, I mean, from what I see, not so much in the gi, because obviously you're limited by the rules, but at least in no gi, like, everybody's doing leg locks now, right? It's no big secret as to the system and getting into the entry positions and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just part of the game now. I think obviously there's refined technique in it, so some guys are obviously better than others, but it's just a lot of it's just time spent doing it, I think. So the later you get to the party, the more struggle you're going to have with it. And the reality is you're not going to win a tournament with heel hooks in unless you have some fundamental understanding of heel hooks, which everyone has now. Always, like in the gi, I always think it's like deep half guard or 50-50 guard, all these innovative techniques that everyone hated on, didn't want to learn it, and then now it's just part of the game.
Were you surprised that Gordon hit so many heel hooks at ADCC?
No,
guys like Cyborg.
Yeah, I mean that was very impressive. It doesn't surprise me because I think there's, so say for example you're already a really successful guy from a big team or something, and maybe a lot of these guys have found success and they didn't have to use heel hooks. And when it started coming into the game, they had some of their guys start learning heel hooks, but obviously it's entirely different when a guy's preparing for ADCC and he gets his teammates, he's like, oh, start trying to heel hook me, to versus a guy that's been doing it hardcore for a long time. So it didn't surprise me that he was able to secure some of those high-level guys. Because I think it's still, I mean, maybe not after ADCC, but before that, our guys were definitely still neglecting it. I think him heel hook and Cyborg probably changed the game a lot, especially with how quickly he did it. Guys were like, wow, I need to take note of this.
Another question for you from one of our viewers then, JD Shelley says that what was different in your training camp before that, the ADCC last year? Because, the 2015 ADCC, like so much change. You were with a different team, training with different guys, you had a whole different game, but what about the actual training camp?
What did we do? Obviously I put on weight because I had to make 88 kilos. So it was like after rolling with Homolo, I was like, there's no way I'm doing I'm entering the weight division 8 kilos under. This is when I weighed in for that ADCC. The weigh-in guy laughed at me and he goes, "You're the lightest guy." He goes, "You're the lightest guy in the division." I was like, "Well, that's reassuring. Thank you."
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So I started lifting weights. I got up to. It took me because we qualified a year out, so I had a year to sort of start working the weight up. But in terms of specific training camp, we just did a lot of positional sparring, the areas we'd end up in. So,
and that was all at Absolute MMA.
All
in
Absolute
Melbourne.
MMA. Yeah, I didn't go anywhere else to train no-gi for ADCC. We just did it all under the one roof, and we just looked at the common positions in the ADCC and focused from there. So like, I've tried to do a lot of wrestling. Australians, we can't wrestle. You're from Wales, so you understand. So yeah, I had to try and work a lot of wrestling for that, even though I used none of it. But yeah, just focused on ADCC rules for an entire year. And every time me and Lachlan rolled, we'd roll according to ADCC. So we'd always be thinking about the no points period, the points period. We'd do overtime rounds, stuff like that. Me and Lockie actually fought. It's a funny story. We fought when the trials got announced for Kazakhstan, so the qualifying one for this most recent ADCC. We both wanted to do 77, so we fought in the gym, and we had like a crazy match. We fought for like an hour. We kept doing overtimes because no one could score, but he ended up getting it. So he got to do 77.
And it helps probably having 3 guys in the same team all preparing for ADCC as well, right? There's
for
you,
sure.
Lachlan Giles,
And
who
Kit.
competed 77, and Kit, right?
Kit, yeah. So obviously unpleasant for Giles being 10 kilos lighter for that camp, but yeah, well, we had Kit too. So Kit qualified in Tokyo. He did the Japanese trials. So that was maybe 4 months later. So straight after that, he was just like bang, back training full-time ADCC roles. And that was the last time we've really had a extended time period, all 3 of us training together. Since then, it's just been in and out.
And then, did you weigh in at 88 this time around?
88. You know what? I think I'm still weighing in only 86. Still hard to make it up there. And then like you have to weigh in for 3 days. So I was losing water as I was competing. So I think the last day I was lighter.
Sorry to interrupt there. Explain how it works, the ADCC weigh-ins.
All right,
Like you weigh in like how much?
You have to weigh in 3 times. So you weigh in the Friday night, the Saturday morning, and the Sunday morning. Oof. So you see some guys cutting weight every day. I'm like, animals.
So actually, maybe it wasn't such a bad thing that you were a little bit underneath that limit, because those guys were possibly cutting like sometimes 5-10 pounds every single day.
Yeah, well, I think about AJ Agazam. Seeing that guy walk around, he looked like a skeleton.
He looked pretty
I
miserable.
thought he was going to die.
Yeah. Got the final.
He got silver medal.
Made the finals.
Yeah.
He has to be one of the toughest guys I've ever met. He doesn't tap to anything. And how did he make 66?
Your guess is good as mine. Seriously, dude. Seriously. And he was in some wars as well, right?
He could barely walk. The Sunday morning, he was up at like 5 a.m. trying to weigh in, and he's like walking around like a zombie.
Brutal. He did. Yeah, wow. And every one of his matches was like 15 minutes, you know. So
yeah.
Savage
Hats
guy.
off to AJ. He's tough.
Came home with the hardware. I mean, sacrifices you got to make sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And so the leg lock thing as well. We got some questions here. Like there's you know, you focus so much on the leg locks at ADCC, and obviously everybody knows you for that. But you're not just a leg lock guy. Come on, you did more. You hit that amazing flying triangle we saw, and you know, you won by rear naked over Leandro. So you're not like one trick pony, right?
The submission underground fights, you had a couple different finishes there.
Yeah. Yeah, I work other parts of the game for sure. I mean, I focus on training my weaknesses. So when I'm in the gym, I'm most often trying to work on my guard passing and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, I will work the leg locks, but I don't think as intensely. I think everyone thinks in the gym I'm just doing leg locks every day, like some mad scientist or something. But yeah, I just train the weaknesses, really try and to become a more well-rounded grappler. The leg locks help though. Like having trained so much in the past in the leg locks, it's definitely helped my position, because obviously the leg locks secured me some big victories, and that's the part of the game everyone wants to learn. And luckily the Danaher guys never released any instructional footage, so I put me in a really good position and release a DVD. So thank you, John.
The key to the Danaher system by Craig Jones.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I remember I saw a video very recently, actually, of you guys training inside Absolute MMA, and it was first point wins, I think, right?
Oh yeah, and the gi, right?
Yeah. That looked tough, but it looked fun at the same time. How does that work?
Well, I think that's the most important drill for IBJJF tournaments. Quite often, I think whoever scores first in the tournament wins. Especially for something like World Pro, where there's like a 6-minute match. Very rarely do people make a comeback. So whenever I train for IBJJF, we just do first points like crazy, because obviously boost your cardio and teach you how to play it safe and also secure those points. So yeah, we would just do winner stays in, and and that was obviously brutal drill.
I've seen him do that at Altos as well. First
Yeah, what do they call it? They call it like rodizio or something.
Rodizio,
Yeah.
Basically, rodizio is the term that Brazilian Portuguese use for all you can eat.
Oh, really?
All you can eat. You go to a rodizio restaurant and you just keep going back for more. So it's like King of the Mat, King of the Hill. Yeah, I think people have different names for it, right?
Yeah, super important drill, I think.
Yeah, Matt, speaking about training and stuff, it's good time to move on to our next little topic here, and that is that these guys had a pretty cool experience last week. Unfortunately, I was unavailable, but these guys got the role with Travis Stevens. Judo Olympian Travis Stevens.
Silver medalist judo player.
Yeah, judo, jiu-jitsu black belt, and John Danaher. Whew.
It was awesome, man. If you listen to any of the podcasts we did with Travis, you know you don't really want to train judo with him. He just does not play. It is not a game to him. He's there to destroy you. But his jiu-jitsu is very playful and open. Like the rolls, you could tell he was just having a good time out there. So
luckily he started the rolls just sitting down. So he just was kind of just messing around, playing around with us, and luckily started them on his butt.
What was it he said to us in that interview? He said, "If I'm doing judo with you, the first thing you're gonna feel is my bicep across your face." It's like, ooh, okay. I'll do stand up with you then.
You mentioned that you got to train with him as well at some point.
I got to train with him. Luckily, not in the gi.
Oh, really? He did no gi with you?
He did no gi. Yeah.
What was that?
He said to me, he goes, "Oh, do you want to roll on the gi or no gi?" And I'm like, let's go no gi. And he's like, "It's all the same to me." So we rolled, when I filmed my last DVD in Boston, because he's up there in Boston, he came down to the Fanatics Studio and rolled. And yeah, like, definitely, I agree, very playful on the ground. I did ask him, I'm like, "Please don't throw me." He's like, "I don't throw jiu-jitsu guys that don't know how to fall when they hurt themselves."
Yeah.
So that's very nice of you.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, because you could just launch us all on our faces and
But
break.
he would use the judo moves. Like I went to take his back and he would like tip me over the top. Like you don't really feel that. It's a different style, right? Judo guys are very like, they'll shoot fast movements, I think, where jiu-jitsu guys maybe a bit slower, try and weigh you down.
But he does have some nice tricks though, huh?
He was saying, right, he was saying that like judo guys drill like 100 times on the left side, 100 times on the right side, and then jiu-jitsu guys do 3 times on the left side, 3 times, maybe once on the right side, and then that's good enough. So.
That sounds like Kid. Is he talking about Kid?
Doesn't like the drilling. Yeah. What kind of stuff? You mentioned he had some nice lapel tricks and stuff.
Yeah, more just his grip was just unbreakable. He would. At one point, I was in a turtle position. He was behind me, and he had sort of like grabbed both lapels, and was like a leash or something, and I could not turn around, and I couldn't break it, and he was just holding me there, and I just didn't know what to do. He wasn't trying to move, and I was just stuck with my lapels behind my back like a cape or something.
He has this grip here that like wrestlers use a lot. This grip, I feel like, where that just like controls people and makes it really hard. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but
right there.
You see this grip, and I felt like he kept getting this grip on me, right, and like wrist locking me with it and just controlling me.
He does weird little submissions like that, right? Like he would try and wrist lock you all the time. He's trying to toe hold me with one arm and stuff.
Yeah, he went after straight ankle locks and stuff. He trains with the Danaher guys, so he was falling back for that type of stuff.
He ankle locked me quite a bit. Yeah. Also, very gently showed me with the chin in the eye. I would feel like he got mount. He started grinding his chin. I'm like, oh my god, like
that's evil.
And it was very playful and nice, but I could see what he meant because he had said it before in the podcast. Like he will actually try and finish something like that in competitions. Like, dear God, like, no, not for me.
Travis is cool though, right? Because he is such an intense dude, right? That Olympic intensity is just another level. I can't even imagine. But it just speaks to the role of having fun in training, right? Is that something that you really focus on? I mean, obviously it's business, but at the same time, you try to have fun?
Oh yeah, try and it keeps it interesting. You know, you're in there every day. You can't just fight to the death every day. I know some schools do, but it's not for me. Yeah, I try and have a lot of fun. Balance it out, maybe one hard training session, one training session, a bit more fun, trying to work technique. I also try and have fun if you're obviously better than someone, you know what I mean? I know there's some guys out there that will be like, I'm better than him, I'm going to submit him as many times as possible in a round. Whereas I'll just try and work parts of the game. I find that the most fun part of it, trying to improve some area.
What's when you're not traveling, and since that you've been traveling nonstop, this might not even apply, but what's a normal training week look like? Do you train twice a day? Do you do strength and conditioning? How do you organize that?
Just one super hard session every day, and then one lighter session, maybe some strength and conditioning as well. Maybe I'll lift. I'll do the core lifts, like squats, deadlifts, bench, shoulder press. I'll do those lifts like maybe once, twice a week, and then depending on how I feel, add in other stuff, the fun stuff, the bicep curls.
Nice.
Do you consider yourself a pro athlete nowadays?
I guess so. I guess if you get paid to compete, I consider it a pro athlete.
Do you feel like a pro athlete?
No, right now I feel unfit right now. I feel like the average pro athlete's a lot more fit. That's why I'm drinking the Coke Zero, actually. Cut down on the sugar.
But that's tough, right? Just being on the road and trying to maintain your weight, trying to eat well, trying to get
hard.
regular training in. How do you manage that?
It's hard. Actually, I heard a tip from Keenan. Keenan goes, when I teach seminars, he's like, I'll just get everyone to run the gauntlet on me. And he's like, that's how I build my cardio. I try to do that, but when you teach a seminar, everyone's like, oh, it's my time to get him. You know what I mean? Elbowed in the head. Sometimes people go for some crazy stuff. So yeah, it is difficult. It is really difficult to eat healthy, especially if I'm doing like a road trip or flying around airports. Hard to eat healthy. Yeah. I was just in London for Polaris, and I was there for 4 or 5 days trying to cut weight, and I was like, there's no healthy food in London. What's going on? Fish and chips everywhere. I was trying to get a salad, so it made it tough.
Speaking about, you're rolling with guys at seminars and stuff. Have you ever had anybody come into one of your seminars and try and go after you, really
just about every single seminar. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you respond? Do you take them out, or what do you do?
You only get one shot at Craig Jones in Alabama. So.
I just try and keep it. I'll give you guys a secret, right? If I am rolling with someone and he catches me at a seminar, I don't try and kill him afterwards, because then they know they got you. And we just go back to rolling light.
You're like, oh, well done, you did what I showed you.
Yeah. Exactly. Or maybe you just let them have one submission, because like quite often I find that guys want that one, and if they get it, they slow it down a bit to a more realistic pace. I mean we should roll hard, but there's like there's crazy movements people do and stuff.
Yeah,
where
like jumping around or trying to jump past your guard or something.
Guys don't know when someone's taking it easy on them, I think.
That's a good point. Actually, I remember seeing a really good video with Rafa Mendes doing a seminar somewhere, and there's not a lot of rolling footage of Rafa out there that isn't, from the AOJ. It was a media machine, right? And it was like a clip somebody done, and some guy, I guess, had gone a little bit too hard or done something that Rafa didn't like, and Rafa tooled this guy up. I think they were meant to be switching partners every couple of minutes, and Rafa just beasted him for like 15. And was like just doing his stuff, all over the place, knee right, surfing, left, right, and center, and just grinding the guy. And I was like, that's not a smart thing to do, right?
I know sometimes when we go to gyms, we get to travel, go to gyms a lot. They're like, oh, you're from FloGrappling? You should do an article on me. Let's roll.
They say that.
Okay.
That's funny.
Usually people are pretty nice to us, but every now and then we also encounter.
You would get it too, because they'd be like, now's my time. They'll remember my name.
Yeah.
Or they read something they didn't like, and they're like, okay, come roll. That too. But the seminars, do you really show everything in those seminars?
For sure.
Like you said, Danaher won't put anything out on DVD, right? But your open book?
Open book, yeah, because I think usually by the time you're teaching something, like you teach it and then 6 months to 12 months later, like it's still a useful technique, but the game changes, you know what I mean? Like the way you do heel hooks changes. Obviously, the jiu-jitsu guys today, I think are better than the guys 10 years ago. They should, that's the way it should work. And they're better because of, obviously, part of it's that they're more professional athlete. I think they have better opportunities to be a professional athlete, but the technique improves. So if the technique improves, it keeps changing. So I think you can put out whatever you want. Like I wouldn't tell a guy just before I was about to fight him what I'm doing, but like if it's the average guy in the average city, like I don't think it's going to help.
Keenan this week also kind of caused a little bit of a firestorm, right? Because he was talking about similar things. He was talking about how breaking closed guard from your knees is kind of the wrong way to do it. That technique's been
old-fashioned.
That technique's been evolved, and people have like a surefire answer to breaking open the closed guard on your knees, and that technique needs to be involved. And if you're still doing it, breaking closed guard from your knees, that's wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Technique obviously changes, and it's good. It's good for the sport. It keeps it interesting. Like if the same techniques from 15 years ago worked, where would the fun be in like innovating? So I agree with what he says. There's some old techniques that don't work. It's not to say that they didn't work at the time. Clearly they did. We're not taking anything away from what those guys said, but like the game changes, and you have to stay studying technique, and that's the way you get better and adapt to the modern level guys.
I got a question for you then. Maybe you don't want to give too much away, but I want to know what you're working on right now.
What am I working on right now?
Yeah, because you said you've got your leg lock system. It seems like you've pretty much developed that to the point where you're happy to take it out and show it to the world. So I'm sure you're refining it still, but it's more to jiu-jitsu than just leg locks, right? So what else are you working on?
You know what? I don't even know right now. Hey. Just guard passing, really. Trying to, like, because since I've taken the gi off, I think, like, the old guard passes I used to try and do in the gi. I mean, not that I passed the gi too much back in the gi. Passed the guard too much when I used to wear the gi. But yeah, just working out better ways to pass the guard. Like, I was training for the Jake Shields match, so I watched a lot of Jake Shields footage about the double body lock pass. So for me to get in his mind of how he does it, I started playing with it myself, and I really found, like, so that would be one part of the game, like using the body lock pass to get past people's guards.
So you were training the move that he does to better prepare yourself when he tried to do it to you.
Exactly. I was trying to get in his head to think about what he would be looking for to do it against me, but then I ended up just enjoying it and spending the whole training camp trying to do his moves on other people.
Work?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it works. I reckon it works pretty well. I mean, see, the Meow brothers do it as well, the double body lock pass.
They do. They've been getting a lot of that. It's interesting. I was talking to Murillo Santana about this just at PANS recently, like 2 weeks ago. Because he's got a lot of light guys at his gym, right? You know, from the Meow Brothers, and then he's got a bunch of those other kids from Brazil. They're all like light featherweights, lightweights. There aren't two guys much bigger than that. And he was telling me they all berimbolo from bottom and they pressure pass from top.
Yeah.
Because the pressure passing kills the berimbolo game, right? So when they're coming up on top, you don't see them standing leg dragging, passing like they were 5 years ago,
Exactly,
even 3 years ago, you know? Everybody's on their knees and they're like playing that low, heavy game. And a lot of that came from Murillo because that was his pressure passing game. And BJJ Scout did that amazing series of pressure passing videos.
That, hey.
Yeah. And BJJ Scout, that guy took a good look at your game too, huh?
He did. Maybe he gave away my secrets.
Did you learn anything from that though? Like seeing that your own game broken down from
Yeah, what did he say? He said that anytime someone stands up my guard, I grab their other leg. And I was like, wait a minute, I do that. I was like, I'll put that in another instruction.
That's really
Giving
cool.
you a seminar like checklist, like all right, little notes you can include. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I mean, you guys probably get it where someone asks you how you did a move, and they'll be like, I noticed you were doing this. You're like, I didn't even notice I was doing that.
Subconscious, like, or a lot of the time it's just you do it without thinking, right? But
Nobody asked me how I do my moves.
You'd be surprised.
How did you get back up?
What's the secret to the double body lock pass?
Just lifting weights, I think.
Strong as fuck.
Yeah. No, it's like, it's so hard to pass guard no-gi. So hard when it gets sweaty and stuff. You don't have handles to hang on to, and sometimes just an underhook's not enough. So like holding the hips like really shuts down the hip escape. I've been trying to pass a lot on my knees, not from close guard. So don't kill me, King. I'm trying to pass on the knees a lot more. But I think
because you think people are trying to get under your legs for the leg locks?
You know what, with that, there's a trade-off. I think a lot of people will say pass on your knees to avoid leg locks. But if you pass on your knees, if they do get under you and get a leg lock, their hips are right on your hips, so the leg lock's deep. Whereas if you see a lot of guys pass on their feet, if they don't have an understanding of the leg lock game, they get leg locked, right? But if you pass on your feet and you control their hips from coming up, they do enter your legs, but their hips are too low to get a good leg lock. So it's a trade-off. So I think, yeah, passing on the knees makes it hard to get under, but if they do get under, they're deep. Passing on the feet makes it easy to get under, but hard to get high on the hips.
You figured out that whole thing about passing on the knees as well, that great Z-guard thing that you do, right?
Yeah, I try and lure people to pass on the knees, trick them, and then play guard on the other side.
I think we saw that at EBI in December, right? Your first two submissions were in less than 30 seconds, both from a knee passing position, I believe.
Yep.
So it clearly worked quite well.
Yeah, it does. And you were telling me earlier, man, that was sounding like a crazy week. You just tell me about what happened in that week, that last EBI.
Week. I feel bad saying it because it sounds like I'm making excuses, but I got off the plane to LA the week of EBI, and I went to train at Gracie Baja, and I was not feeling right. And like, and this isn't why those guys all smashed me that training session. I could barely keep it together. And then
Northridge, is that where you were?
Northridge, yeah.
Okay.
So Homelite beat me up. His purple belt guy beat me up, and I was like, I gotta take a time out here. So I was like feeling not confident for the event, and then over the week I was getting like a fever and stuff, just feeling generally horrible. So I was talking to him. I was like, maybe I'll have to pull out. And Eddie or Megan was like, just come to Austin, we'll see how you feel. And when I got to Austin, I felt super bad about having to pull out. So I was like, I'll just do it. Because I was like in my head, I'm probably the most expensive athlete to bring out because I'm from Australia. I was like, I better compete. And then it worked out well. But like I was saying, I'm back in Austin now. But last time I didn't see any of Austin because I was just in the hotel room sick. I was in bed ordering Uber Eats until the event started. Then I competed, then I went back to bed.
So it's straight from your bed, your deathbed, to EBI, tap a bunch of guys out, get into the final against Gordon, have a war, almost break his arm, go back to bed.
Yeah, back to bed after. No time to celebrate.
That's crazy, man. It sounds like a wild ride. But speaking about the Gracie Barra Northridge guys, not the first time you've been there, right? You visited a few years back.
Yeah, no, you know what? I visited before the first EBI I did. Mate, it's an EBI thing. Yeah, if I'm doing EBI, I have to go to Northridge before.
I can't remember if it was Gabrielle or if it was Edwin, but it was one of those guys that they said that they saw a huge difference in you from the first time you visited to the next time. Yeah. And they just said it was incredible how much better you'd gotten in that period.
Well, I was going from terrible to okay.
Maybe nice.
Still a jump, right?
Yeah. I'm heading in the right direction.
We got about 15 minutes left, and time to just move on to a slightly different topic now. One of the big topics in the jiu-jitsu world at the moment is about guys going to MMA. Gary Tonon's got his first fight this weekend. I think we're all looking forward to that one. Dylan Dandis finally got an opponent. He's going to make his long-awaited MMA debut. Been waiting like a year for that, right? Since he signed the Bellator contract. And there's a bunch of other guys out there who are doing really well. So, all right, before we start talking about those guys, Craig, would you ever do MMA?
Yeah, people ask me this all the time, and I always give the same answer. I want a deal with Risen. Whoever Gabby Garcia gets the fight, I want that level of deal. You know?
You want Gabby Garcia?
No.
All right.
I want her opponent.
You want the 50-year-old.
I want the big money fights in Japan against older people. That's my plan for MMA. Nah, I don't think I would. Until I accomplish my goals in grappling, I wouldn't want to take any time away. Because I would think if I haven't reached my goals there, any time spent doing another sport is going to be detrimental to my grappling.
Yeah, good point. Good point. What about Gary doing MMA this weekend? That's obviously we're really
awesome,
excited for. But what do you think about that?
I think he's going to kill it. I don't know, something about, I look at that guy and I'm like, he could probably take a hit, you know what I mean? I look at some grappling guys and I think it's probably not for you, you know what I mean? So I think he's one that'll make a good transition.
Tough Jersey guys, right?
Very tough.
They all can take punches to the face, probably.
Yeah, they're used to it. They grow up doing it.
They do. And Dylan's got his debut soon as well, right? Man, that's another one. He signed his contract in April of last year, March or April of last year at Bellator. And he's finally competing now in MMA for the first time.
I love it.
We're all very curious as well, yeah.
Very curious, but I'm honestly excited as well. I think this is something we've all been waiting to see, huh?
I think Bellator especially learned their lesson with Aaron Pico a little bit, and giving him too high of a caliber opponent right off the bat.
Aaron Pico being the Olympic wrestler, right?
Yeah, or the world level wrestler. Yeah, so he obviously lost his first match, and so I think they're giving Dylan a comparable opponent there. So
what's the guy like 2-4 or something?
2-4. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, and it got submitted in like his last two fights, I think.
That's a gift, hey.
It's a warm up. It's a warm up. Hey, Dylan's untested. He's 0-0, right? We've never even seen him throw hands. Like we know that he's a good grappler, but who knows what his striking game is like? I'm interested to see if he's going to come out and he's doing the Connor thing,
you know, touch button the park,
touch button, yeah, we'll see. But hey, no, he's training in Ireland with Connor and those guys, so I'd be surprised if he wasn't prepared for this, you know.
And then he's fighting on the same card. That Chicago card also has Rafael Lovato Jr., who obviously we're huge fans of here, versus John Salter, another guy we're big fans of.
ADCC veteran.
Qualified for ADCC and stuff like that.
Yeah, he beat DJ and he beat Josh Hinger.
Yeah, West Coast Trials. Pretty
That's
crazy
no joke,
performance.
Man.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. Yeah. So those two guys, who I think whoever wins, John Salter, Lovato Jr., I think it sets him straight up for a 185-pound title shot, and like that's incredible. That's awesome. I'd love to see either of those guys fight for the Bellator title.
Kind of the difference that I see though in like guys like Lovato and Salter is even Lovato's known as like a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not. He's been a lifelong mixed martial artist, right? Because his dad was like a JKD guy before he found jiu-jitsu, and you know Lovato's been training striking since a very early age. So something he's been doing his whole life. I think Salter he was an MMA guy who did well in grappling as well.
He's a wrestler. I want to say he
wrestled.
He did.
For Alabama,
Yeah, I mean, so it was high level, but a guy who could take his grappling game from MMA and do well in ADCC. I think it favors those kind of guys. The guys like Gary and Dylan, for me, they're pretty much like about as pure jiu-jitsu guys as you could see move into MMA. Would you agree?
For sure, it'll be a wild card seeing how those guys go. I think they'll both get like you said, they're going to get some good opponents, get a lot of time to build up. But it'll be tougher for them to make the transition straight away to high-level guys, whereas guys with a really high-level wrestling background, I think.
Well, I just love the way like a lot of these new jiu-jitsu guys have been going in. Guys like Ryan Hall too in the UFC, and Lovato. Like I feel like because Lovato fought a wrestler, he fought Chris Honeycutt in his last fight, who's an NCAA All-American, and Ryan Hall fought Gray Maynard, who's an NCAA wrestler as well. And like I love seeing, because wrestlers now are like afraid to pressure jiu-jitsu guys up against the cage so much. 'Cause I feel like that's how they were winning before. But now, like just with
That's the evolution.
the leg locks and stuff like that, and Ryan Hall is so good at them. Like guys are afraid to pressure guys up against the cage because then they can just go right underneath, and then they don't really have a place to run away from the heel hooks and stuff.
That whole fight was incredible. He was basically spamming Imanari rolls in that
I love
match,
it.
right?
And like spinning kicks. It's crazy, yeah.
I watch
wildest
that
fight.
match all the time because it's like for a jiu-jitsu guy, it's like yes.
And he came out of it. He barely took a single hit to the face, right? And Greg Maynard was super frustrated by it, but hey, deal with it. Right?
Yeah. Like it was just like a kind of like a new fold to the game, and I felt like Lovato implemented it a little bit of it in his last fight too. So it's just super fun to see how the jiu-jitsu guys are contributing to the evolution of MMA.
We've talked a lot about Mackenzie as well. Mackenzie doing obviously making that transition over. We haven't really seen that much jiu-jitsu from her in some of her fights though, right? She's been working a lot more striking and stuff. She had a few submission wins, but two guys who are also competing a lot in MMA lately. There's one guy who's 3 fights in. That is Rodolfo Vieira, man. And he actually signed his MMA contract immediately, almost upon walking off the mat from ADCC 2015 when he won there, the 99 kilo division. I remember there was a Japanese guy kind of floating around. I don't know if you remember the guy, but he was kind of floating around at ADCC in Sao Paulo. And he signed that day. He signed Rodolfo. And I think he signed Gabby Garcia around about the same time as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was he's basically there to scout out the talent from ADCC. So it's kind of interesting that ADCC is like a springboard for MMA, though, right?
Yeah, you got guys like Gunnar Nelson fought on ADCC as well. They've had a long history of bringing those MMA guys in there, and having a springboard for competition like that.
I'd argue you'd probably see more guys who are successful in ADCC move into MMA than guys who are successful in other no-gi tournaments or even jiu-jitsu tournaments, right?
They've got to wrestle at some level.
Yeah,
exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Like Galvao went on to do a lot of MMA, right? Who else? Shanji had a bunch of MMA fights in Japan.
Yeah, Verdum. Of course,
Vinny
Mark Kerr was an MMA fighter a little bit.
So a big, long history of that. Ari Farias as well. He's out there competing in MMA as well. But I'll be honest, man, like straight up.
Makes me sad.
It makes me sad. I don't. I'm glad
sad.
you said you're like, I'm not too fussed about MMA because, man, I don't want those guys to go away. I want them to stay in jiu-jitsu. I want to see them competing. I would love to see Rodolfo come back in and tear some guys up at ADCC.
Oh, yeah, that would
be
have been
great,
amazing.
right?
Yeah, it's sad to see him go. I think initially they were leaving to chase money, right? Like they wanted they'd maybe accomplished their goals last part of the career, wanted to try and have a shot at making some huge money. But grappling, the money's getting a lot better. Obviously, nowhere near MMA. But I think
at the upper levels.
Yeah, at the upper level.
But I think a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys, you're probably doing a lot better off than the majority of MMA fighters are.
That's what I think, and I'm not taking any brain trauma. You know what I mean? Like, what cost do you?
Yeah.
At what cost is that to you? You know what I mean? I think the average level MMA fighter for a long-term career, unless you make it to that upper level, is not going to have a great income for the rest of their life. You see the guys that have to go to broadcasting and stuff. Whereas like
and that's if they're lucky, man, if they're broadcasting.
Exactly.
Everybody wants that
if they haven't taken enough hits. Oh wait, Bisping does it. Bisping's in.
Man, we got about just over 5 minutes left. I'd love to just talk about this more, but we got a bunch of reader questions that we should probably go through. Don't worry, nothing too bad. I guess there's a good question here from Alexander Spiliotis. At which point in your training did you realize you had the skill and the confidence to stay at the top of the game? Or to get to the top of the game, I guess that would be.
That's a tough one. I think it's just based on you enter a tournament, maybe you do better than you expected. You know what I mean? Everyone has their doubts. Everyone pretends to be confident, but you still have your doubts. So every time you beat a higher level opponent, or at least hang for a while with a higher level opponent, maybe even you got submitted 3 minutes in, but you were doing well for 3 minutes. I think at that point you start to be like, oh, maybe I do belong. And then that confidence gives you the boost to hit the next level. So that every time you do well against a high-level guy, you probably, if you take it the right way, do better next time you face those guys. You get over that mental obstacle.
Nice. Favorite jiu-jitsu memory?
I guess the Leandro Lowe one. I hate to bring it up.
Man, I
can't argue against that.
I had literally never met you before that ADCC, and you submitted Leandro, and I like ran up to you and hugged you, and I was like, oh shit, Craig Jones has never met me before. But I was just like so pumped. I was like, oh my god, that was so crazy.
What did you say to me? You were like, why didn't you tell me you were a badass?
Yeah. We also couldn't stop saying Craig fucking Jones like the rest of the weekend. It was like that's all we said.
Fucking Jones, man. That was a wild one. Interesting question here from Chadia. Would you rather take a match with either Gary Tonon or Dylan Dennis?
Oh, tough one. Well, sadly, it won't be. 2 MMA fighters now, right? I don't know. I guess Dylan Dennis is closer to weight. He has more Instagram followers.
That's all that matters.
Get the rub. Yeah. Who do you think is the toughest opponent you're going to face in the Kazai bracket coming up? You got DJ Jackson, Mateus Diniz, Richie Martinez, Boogeyman, Dante Leon, Nick Calvinese, Mike Perez, and Felipe Mota. Who stands out from that?
I guess DJ Jackson probably stands out, but that doesn't necessarily mean I think overall he's the best guy in the tournament. I just think stylistically, for me, probably the toughest matchup, given that he's, as he put up today, 8-0 against the Danaher Death Squad. And like people say, we have quite a similar style.
Very cool, very cool. Your thoughts? No, we did that one. Who influenced you the most in Jiu-Jitsu? Do you have like an idol or a role model, somebody you look up to?
I guess my coach. I mean, everyone says that, but Lockie took me from, I was training in Adelaide at a smaller team, like struggling to get good training partners in Adelaide. So like when I did a training camp with Lockie for, what was it, Nogi Worlds, he was like, do you just want to stay and teach here? So I guess that was the biggest change in my life before Leandro Lowe, going from working and studying and balancing training. What was I? Just at a liquor store. What did I do? I've done Burger King, I've worked at a casino and a liquor store. The liquor store hours were best for training, so I was studying, liquor store and training, and then Giles helped me move to just full-time training.
Could you recommend me a good liquor?
A liquor, Australian one? Oh, let me think. Obviously, not Foster's, that we were talking about before. No one drinks Foster's.
Anything that comes in boxes, maybe.
I was just in Brisbane, and actually you're representing a local Brisbane team there, so I'll say Bundaberg rum.
Oh, I'm looking forward to trying it out. Hopefully I get over there to the Gold Coast and try it out.
For sure.
How about favorite ADCC match that you weren't involved in?
Oh man, there's too many. So I guess the one stands out, Cron Gracie, Gary Tonon. That was the one. I was like, wow.
That was the greatest comebacks.
That was probably Gary Tonon's moment that changed everything for him mentally to be like, I almost beat Cron Gracie, you know what I mean? And you saw the confidence level go skyrocket after that. So yeah, a lot of it's mental, you know what I mean? I think the skill level between a lot of guys isn't as great as you think. It's the confidence. And that skyrocketed Gary Tonon.
Definitely.
We always run through a series of rapid fire questions in different reviews that we do as well. I'll just throw a couple at you. What's your favorite place that you visited through Jiu-Jitsu?
Favorite place?
Because you've been around.
The most surprising was Kazakhstan.
Huh.
Kazakhstan.
Somebody was Viking Wong was telling us that Kazakhstan is
wild.
Awesome.
It's wild, yeah, because the guys that promoted it were just some ballers over there, and it was, crazy. I went to Kazakhstan having no idea what to expect. Everyone expects Borat, but as they told me, that was filmed in Romania.
Yeah, it's true.
So Kazakhstan's a bit like sort of like a European city, just a really cool place. The guys there, when they hosted the trials, they built like a $3 million arena for the ADCC trials.
They are ballers. Yeah. Holy shit. Wow.
So I won at ADCC trials, and they took us out partying afterwards, right? And I was telling him, I was like, I have to get back on a flight at 4 a.m. to India. And he's like, what airline are you with? And then he just calls up and he's like, you fly out in 2 days now.
I kind of wanted to leave, but
no, you stayed.
Crazy. And then another crazy story, they flew me out there for a tournament. Every year they do the Arlen Grip Invitational, which is some cool end of year, which is the one Viking and DJ were at. And I was there, I competed, and then they were like, do you want to come to my birthday party? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to come. He's like, we'll just delay your flight. I was like, all right, thinking it's somewhere in Kazakhstan. And then they picked me up. He asked for my passport, and he picked me up. We flew on a private plane to Mauritius, and he rented out a resort for 3 days.
What's Mauritius?
Mauritius, in the Indian Ocean?
Near Africa, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Holy crap. So his birthday party, were you expecting to be, it's like an 8-hour flight away?
8-hour flight. Flew like 80, 90 people there.
Oh, man.
And it was just me and another American guy, Adam Fox, and I was like, we do not belong here.
Strap in.
Dang, man.
Now you guys want to go to Kazakhstan?
I know.
All right.
We're stream the
Kazakhstan trials are on the calendar.
Those guys are super, super cool though, yeah.
Awesome.
Good high-level guys too.
Yeah, they got some decent grapplers out of there. I remember we've seen a few of them
ton of World
qualify.
Pro, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a bunch qualify for ADCC, World Pro. We see a lot. Probably see a lot there again this year. Because remember, there's those guys. You were there 2016, and there was like 100 of them all in those blue and yellow
the
tracksuits.
outfits, yeah. They all wear matching teams tracksuits. They're really,
That's cool.
yeah, really, really cool. I think those guys put a lot of money into the sport there. They got one really good guy. He's going to kill me for forgetting his name. He fought Lachlan Giles ADCC trials in Kazakhstan. Didn't tap to an inside heel hook. Let it go until he started screaming, and it was like twisted completely the wrong way. And Giles is like a physio, and he's like, he's not going to compete for a long time. 6 months later, that guy wins the trials. It's like, so he's got Leandro low knees. It doesn't matter.
Did you see that? Did you see Hamla Bahal at the Worlds last year? Did you
Oh,
see
the
it?
Toho?
Yeah, the Toho.
Yeah.
That was a brutal one.
Some guys don't tap. The only thing I won't tap to is an ADCC final. I'm up. Everything else, I'm like, nah, you got it, man.
Yeah, man. We saw Tommy Langacker and Dante Leon.
Yeah, the arm.
You saw that?
Was that broken?
Oh yeah. I mean, broken. It was definitely way past the point that should have gone. Dante said that he heard it ripping and popping and stuff, and I think Tommy's going to be out for a little while from that.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I need to ask Dante about finishing armbars. I need some help for Gordon.
Rubbing it in, are you?
All right, man. Well, I mean, that has been an amazing hour, Craig. I want to say thanks so much for coming in, man. This has been a blast, right?
Thanks for having me, guys.
First
Thanks for
podcast guest, and turns out to be none other than Craig Jones. And wow, what an hour! I wish we could just carry on, but
Are there any spots available for your seminar tonight, or is that all filled in?
I think it might be sold out, yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I'd say plug it, but I don't want to have a bunch of people flooding up.
But where are you
filled
going
in.
next?
Houston, Dark Side. I'll be there.
That's a good one.
Saturday, sometime. I should know the time.
you're jet lagged. For him, it's like still Tuesday.
Yeah, I have no idea where or when it is.
And you got where else? Are you saying you're going to Nebraska?
I'll be in Nebraska, Detroit, New York, Mississippi, Virginia, and then I'm here for 2 weeks in May, so I'll try and do a couple more seminars before I go back.
And you can find all the information on your Instagram if people want to find your seminars.
You
should do that.
I should post them. I will pump anyone that don't sell out. I'll pump them up there to try and fill the numbers and stuff.
Cool. Awesome. Go and follow at Craig Jones BJJ. Guys, it's been real. It's another one. We'll see you guys next week.